but I didn't see it was my job to do anything about it because it was just so pervasive. I just focused on creating an alternative.
Robert Redford's last words revealed a truth no one expected: the 7 actors he loved most right before his death. For him, they were more just co-stars. They were the people who shaped his 6-decade journey on and off the screen.
I have to, and I'm not gonna.
Well, we got to, otherwise we're dead.
Who stood by his side in those final moments? And which name will surely leave fans of Robert Redford speechless? Stay with us until the end to find out. Number 7. Paul Newman. Their partnership in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969 turned Robert Redford and Paul Newman into one of the most iconic duos in film history. Spanning Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Mexico, the film reimagined the Western at a time when the genre seemed to be in decline. Audiences were drawn not just to the gunfights and train robberies, but to the effortless banter between Newman's Butch Cassidy and Redford's Sundance Kid. The movie earned over $100 million at the worldwide box office, making it one of the highest-grossing films of its decade, and won 4 Academy Awards. The chemistry between Robert Redford and Paul Newman was so undeniable that Hollywood couldn't resist pairing them again in The Sting in 1973. Directed by George Roy Hill, who had also helmed Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969, the stylish con artist tale placed them as charismatic swindlers, taking on a ruthless mob boss in Depression-era Chicago. The movie was a runaway success, earning about $156 million in the United States and more than $250 million worldwide, placing it among the biggest box office hits of the 70s. At the 46th Academy Awards in 1974, The Sting swept the night, winning 7 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director. Redford himself earned his only career Oscar nomination for Best Actor from this film, though Newman was not nominated. More importantly, the movie gave credence to their status as Hollywood's ultimate duo, capable of blending charm, humor, and suspense in ways audiences had rarely seen. What Newman and Redford created on screen went far beyond casting. Instead of trying to outshine one another, they played as equals, and that balance gave audiences a new way of looking at leading men. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid showed it in their banter, while The Sting proved it again through their careful, intricate teamwork. They set a standard for buddy films that would be copied for decades. Away from the cameras, the respect ran just as deep. Redford often said Newman was more than a co-star. He was a guide and a true friend. Both men built lives that stretched beyond Hollywood. Newman started Newman's Own in 1982, turning food sales into hundreds of millions for charity. Robert Redford went on to establish the Sundance Institute, creating a platform that gave independent filmmakers the resources and visibility to reach audiences well beyond the studio system. While Newman revealed Redford's quick wit and charm, it was another actress who helped showcase his softer, romantic side. Who was she? Number 6. Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda and Robert Redford, starring together in Barefoot in the Park in 1967, brought irresistible charm and youthful energy to the big screen. Adapted from Neil Simon's Broadway play, the romantic comedy was shot largely in New York City, with additional studio work at Paramount Pictures in Los Angeles. Redford reprised the role of Paul Bratter, which he had first performed on Broadway in 1963, while Fonda played his spirited new wife, Corey. The story of a mismatched couple navigating marriage in a tiny Manhattan apartment struck a chord with audiences of the late 1960s. Barefoot in the Park brought in more than $30 million at the U.S. box office in 1967, a huge success for its time and among the year's biggest hits. Reviewers highlighted the playful chemistry between Jane Fonda and Robert Redford, noting how their banter and timing carried the Neil Simon comedy from stage to screen. Audiences connected with their charm, and the pairing quickly became one of the most talked about of the decade. Their work together didn't stop there. In 2017, Netflix reunited Robert Redford and Jane Fonda in Our Souls at Night, directed by Ritesh Batra and filmed in Colorado towns such as Canyon City and Florence. Based on Kent Haruf's 2015 novel, the film follows 2 widowed neighbors who find comfort and unexpected love late in life. The film premiered at the 74th Venice International Film Festival in 2017 and marked the 4th time Redford and Fonda worked together. They had first shared the screen in The Chase in 1966, followed by Barefoot in the Park in 1967 and The Electric Horseman in 1979. Off-screen, both left marks that reached beyond acting. Fonda, who won Academy Awards for Clute in 1971 and Coming Home in 1978, was long recognized for her political and social activism. Redford, meanwhile, launched the Sundance Institute in 1981, which grew into one of the world's most important platforms for independent film. Their careers often ran parallel, and that history gave their time together on screen an even greater sense of weight and meaning. But if Jane Fonda highlighted Redford's lighter romantic side, which actress would help him deliver one of the most unforgettable dramatic love stories of the 70s? Number 5. Barbra Streisand. The Way We Were opened in October 1973 and quickly drew attention for more than its storyline. Much of the excitement came from the pairing of Robert Redford and Barbra Streisand, two stars at very different points in their careers. Barbra Streisand stepped into the role of Katie Morosky, a passionate activist who poured herself into every cause she believed in. Opposite her, Robert Redford played Hubble Gardner. Their differences drove the tension and the emotion that carried the film. Audiences responded in large numbers. The movie had earned more than $50 million at the U.S. box office, an impressive figure for 1973 and one that placed it among the year's top performers. Streisand received an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress, while her recording of the title song won the Oscar for Best Original Song. For Redford, the role showed a side of him that was less about bravado and more about quiet presence. For Streisand, it confirmed her rare ability to move seamlessly between music and film. Decades later, their on-screen connection remains so strong, included The Way We Were in its list of the 100 greatest movie love stories. Looking back, Streisand admitted that working with Redford left a lasting impression on her, something audiences had sensed from the very beginning. Yet while Streisand revealed Redford's strength in romance and heartbreak, another star would show his power behind the camera. Who was the rising talent Redford helped launch into superstardom? Number 4. Brad Pitt. In 1992, Robert Redford stepped behind the camera to direct A River Runs Through It, a film adapted from Norman Maclean's novella about family, faith, and fly fishing in early 20th century Montana. Shot across the rugged landscapes of Montana, including Livingston and Bozeman, the movie became a visual poem of the American West. But more than its scenery, the film marked the moment Redford helped introduce a new star to Hollywood. At just 28 years old, Brad Pitt was cast as Paul McLean, the charismatic but troubled younger brother. Up until then, Pitt had appeared in supporting roles, most notably as a drifter in 1991's Thelma and Louise. Redford saw something more. He recognized in Pitt the kind of screen presence that could hold both charm and tragedy in a single glance. The gamble paid off. A River Runs Through. It received 3 Academy Award nominations, and cinematographer Philippe Rousselot took home the Oscar for his work. Critics praised the film for its quiet beauty and its strong sense of Montana's landscapes, but audiences kept talking about Brad Pitt. Within a few years, he was headlining films like Legends of the Fall in 1994 and C7 in 1995. Redford's choice to cast Pitt was more than inspired casting. It symbolized a handoff to a younger generation. Both shared striking similarities: fair-haired, quietly intense, and representative of the leading man ideal for their time. By guiding Pitt through one of his first major roles, Redford once again proved his instinct for talent. It was a mentorship that reshaped Hollywood's star map in the 1990s. And while Pitt carried that torch forward, another actress Redford loved working with brought elegance, grace, and an entirely different kind of energy to his journey. Can you guess? Number 3. Sissy Spacek. Robert Redford's role in The Old Man and the Gun in 2018 carried special weight. It marked the end of a film career that stretched more than 60 years. Directed by David Lowery and shot largely in Cincinnati, Ohio, the story followed Forrest Tucker, a real-life bank robber who managed to break out of prison 18 times and spent decades charming his way through daring heists. What gave the film its heart, though, was Redford's connection with Sissy Spacek. Spacek, who won the Academy Award for Coal Miner's Daughter in 1980, played Jewel, a woman whose calm presence and honesty revealed the humanity behind Tucker's life of crime. Their shared scenes weren't about spectacle, they were about connection. 2 veterans of cinema slowing the pace, letting silence and glances do the talking. At the time of filming, Redford was 82 and Spacek was 68. yet their performances carried the lightness and tenderness of first love. Critics singled out their moments together as the film's beating heart. The Old Man and the Gun premiered at the Telluride Film Festival in September 2018, before expanding to theaters nationwide, and both actors received praise for creating what felt like an intimate farewell to Hollywood's golden age. Spacek later remarked that working alongside Redford was effortless, describing his presence as both calming and deeply generous. The film carried extra meaning because it brought back together two stars. Spacek had first captured audiences in Badlands in 1973 and Carrie in 1976, while Redford had risen to superstardom with The Sting in 1973 and All the President's Men in 1976. To see them together in their later years was to witness history folding back on itself, a reminder of how much they had given to American film. Their scenes in The Old Man and the Gun became a gentle coda for Redford's career. Yet, before this closing chapter, another co-star had helped him define the very idea of on-screen partnership decades earlier. Which fellow actor joined him in that same final chapter? Number 2. Casey Affleck. In The Old Man and the Gun, released in 2018, Robert Redford didn't just bid farewell to acting. He also passed the torch to a younger generation. Casey Affleck, nearly 40 years younger than Redford, brought a steady, understated energy to the film. He stepped into the role of Detective John Hunt, the officer determined to bring Forrest Tucker to justice. What played out on screen was less a simple chase and more a measured duel of wits, where admiration and conflict existed side by side. Affleck, born in 1975 in Falmouth, Massachusetts, had already built a career on quiet but powerful performances. From Gone Baby Gone in 2007 to his Academy Award-winning role in Manchester by the Sea in 2016. By the time he stepped into The Old Man and the Gun, he was already an Academy Award winner for Manchester by the Sea in 2016. His role opposite Redford placed him in a position few actors could imagine, going head-to-head with one of Hollywood's most celebrated icons in what was billed as Redford's final starring role. Filming took place in Cincinnati, Ohio, beginning in April 2017. Redford was 81 years old at the time, yet the film showcased how he continued to draw younger talent into his orbit. The differences in their styles made the pairing stand out. Redford brought to the role the magnetism that had defined him since the 60s, while Affleck approached his character with the understated realism that marks much of 21st century acting. Side by side, their performances showed how two very different traditions could exist in the same story. The film debuted at the Telluride Film Festival on August 31, 2018, and drew praise not only as Redford's farewell, but also for the striking dynamic between two actors from different generations. Redford's choice to work so closely with Affleck reflected a career-long habit of collaboration rather than rivalry, a reminder that he often used his platform to highlight others. It felt like a passing of the torch, one more sign of how Redford shaped Hollywood by lifting those around him. Outside of his work with co-stars, one tribute in particular will reveal just how deeply respected Redford was throughout the film industry. Number 1. Meryl Streep. Robert Redford and Meryl Streep appeared together only once on screen in Out of Africa in 1985. Directed by Sidney Pollack and shot largely in Kenya, the film told the story of Danish author Karen Blixen and her years in East Africa. The story, adapted from Karen Blixen's memoir, followed the Baroness's years in Africa and her complicated relationship with Dennis Finch Hatton, the big game hunter played by Redford. Streep, already celebrated for Kramer vs. Kramer in 1979 and Sophie's Choice in 1982, brought emotional intensity to Blixen, while Redford carried Finch Hatton with his trademark quiet magnetism. The film premiered in December 1985 and became a worldwide success. Out of Africa went on to win 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. The recognition placed the film among the defining works of the decade. Redford and Streep never reunited on screen, but both spoke highly of the experience. Meryl Streep often said she admired the way Redford combined star power with honesty in his work. After Robert Redford's death in September 2025, her tribute spread quickly. She spoke of him not just as a co-star, but as someone who captured the spirit of a Hollywood generation. His influence was already clear from his breakout in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969 to his founding of the Sundance Institute in 1981, which became a cornerstone of independent film. By 2024, Meryl Streep had earned 21 Academy Award nominations, more than any other actor. Her tribute to Redford stood out for that reason. Coming from someone of her stature, it showed how much respect he commanded. Even though they only worked together once, that film linked their careers in a way audiences never forgot. Which of these 7 names do you think left the greatest mark on Robert Redford's legendary journey? And if you had the chance to add one more actor to his list, who would it be and why? Let us know what you think. Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.